Before my daughter was born, I made a plan to play 12 games during that year. So today I wanted to talk about the games that I picked, the games that I managed to play, and the games that I didn't manage, and the lessons that I learned from all of this. I wanted to make this as an update since it has been more than a year since I've made that video. So if you're interested to know what exactly I played, what are the games that really filled my year, because I played up to 35 games in total and some of them are not on that list. So out of those 12 games that I picked, there were 3 games that really filled my year. The rest were the 35 games, as I said. So was this year a failure for me, or was it something else? In today's video, I'll be sharing all of that and more. So, let's go! Before my daughter arrived, I sat down and built what felt like a realistic plan. 12 games, a mix of lengths, some shorter ones to keep momentum, some bigger ones to give the year weight. The logic was solid. I knew gaming time was going to shrink, so I picked deliberately instead of just diving into whatever felt interesting. Also, I was analyzing how my gaming pattern was, and normally I would play between 30 to 35 to even 40 to even 45 games in a whole year. And these games would be completely completed. So I would say roughly about 30-35 games I would have on a regular basis. So 12 games didn't seem like a big stretch. It really felt like 1 game per month, which would have been a normal fit. The list looked something like this: City Skylines, XCOM 2, Yakuza Kiwami, Spellforce 3, Balatro, Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Final Fantasy, Knights of the Old Republic, Jurassic World Evolution, Persona 5 Royal, and Red Dead Redemption 2. On paper, it was a good list, a range of genres, games I had genuinely been meaning to play for years, a plan that felt intentional rather than reactive. Then my daughter arrived, and everything I thought I knew about managing time went out the window. Not to mention that I'm not the best when it comes to managing time. I always been sucking at doing the right thing and managing my time, but having a baby and looking after a baby, that changed everything to a whole new level. So why the plan failed, and why that was never the plan's fault? 3 games from that list got completed: Jurassic World Evolution, Persona 5 Royal, and Red Dead Redemption 2. The other 9 either stalled early, got 1 session, or never got open at all. As I'm recording this video, there's a 4th game that I'm working on, and that's Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, which I'm still working on. I'm very early in the game. I just finished the prologue, so I can't really talk about much about it. And I want to be honest why, because it wasn't a bad luck and it wasn't laziness. New fatherhood doesn't just reduce your gaming time, it changes the shape of it. Before my daughter, I could sit down for 2 to 3 hours and get lost in something. After she arrived, gaming happened in windows. 45 minutes on the Steam Deck during my work break, a late night session when the house finally went quiet, short, unpredictable, and sometimes interrupted before they even get started. A game like Baldur's Gate or XCOM doesn't fit a 45 minutes window. Not really. Not at the way it needed to be played to feel good. Those games need you to be settled, focused, and ready to think. And in the first months of the fatherhood, that version of me wasn't always available. It took me 2 weeks to be able to settle down, sit down, and be attentive with the game that I'm playing. That is not an easy task. The plan assumed a version of my schedule that stopped existing the day she was born. That's not a failure of discipline, that's just what happens. What actually got played instead? Here's where the story changes. While the plan was quietly falling apart, the backlog wasn't sitting idle. 35 games completed across 2025 and into 2026. Not the ones that I mapped out, just the ones that fitted the list I was actually living. Some of them were short, like Dear Esther, If Found, Behind the Frame, Evan's Remains, and so forth. Games that could be finished in a single sitting, sometimes in under 2 hours. Games that fit perfectly into the window I actually had. Some of them were surprises, such as Journey to the Savage Planet and Omno, games that I haven't planned for at all, but picked up because the moment felt right and the length felt manageable. And then there was the Portal runs. At some point in the middle of the year, I started Portal, and then Portal 2, and then Portal Reloaded, Portal Stories Mel, Portal Revolution, Prelude RTX, Roxara, and Portal Stories VR. The entire Portal universe back to back. 8 games in total. Every single one completed. Or at least, the games that you could complete that had achievements like Portal Stories Mel, Portal Revolution, and Portal 1 and 2. The rest, I still consider them completed because I gave everything that I could. I saw to the credits, and I would consider a game that doesn't have achievements still completed. What about you? So that wasn't planned. That was pure momentum. One world pulling me through the next because I was genuinely inside it. And that run, more than anything else on the list, it's what first year dad gaming actually felt at its best. Hollow Knight made it too as well. So did Clear Obscure Expedition 33, one of the most unexpected, beautiful games I've played in years. Valiant Hearts, and Vanishing of Ether Carter, and as well the Town of Light. None of them were planned. All of them were exactly right. And also, after I was finished with Portal series, I felt like I was more hooked into trying other series. So I went for Red Dead Redemption 2, then Red Dead Redemption 1, and also because I was playing Red Dead Redemption 1, I was actually interested to try the Red Dead Revolver, which led me to more Red Dead, and as well trying the Red Dead prototype, which was something made by Capcom, which was an interesting approach, and it made me appreciate and discover that, there's more from a game series that led it to becoming such an amazing series beloved by many. Now, let's talk about the tension between planning and playing. So here's what I actually learned. There's a real tension between planning your gaming intentionally and letting it go where it naturally wants to go. Both matter. Neither one works perfectly on its own. The plan gave me a framework. It made me think carefully before my schedule changed about what I actually wanted in my gaming year. And even though most of it didn't go as planned, having that list meant I wasn't starting from zero every time I picked up the Steam Deck. I had a direction, but the play that actually happened, the Portal runs, the Red Dead Redemption runs, the short games that fit the windows, the surprises that came from letting go of the plan where the plan wasn't working, from reading what the moment needed instead of forcing a game that wasn't right for that Tuesday night at 11 with 45 minutes and a sleeping baby 2 rooms away. The lesson isn't that planning doesn't work. The lesson is that the plan needs to be flexible enough to survive contact with real life. If you're a new parent trying to figure out how gaming fits into this window of your life, here's an honest version. Your big games are not gone. Persona 5 Royal was on that list. So was Red Dead Redemption 2. Both game completed. Both were extraordinary. They just needed the right window, a stretch of relative stability, a few runs at night, a session where the rhythm settled enough to go deep. But in the meantime, the short games are not a compromise. They're a different kind of gaming, and some of them will surprise you completely. Build a list, make it intentional, but hold it loosely, because the best gaming moments of my first year as a dad weren't the ones that I planned. They were the ones that I said yes to when the window opened and the moment was right. That's not a failure of the plan. That's just what gaming looks like now. And honestly, I think I'm okay with that. 3 series, 0 plans. Everything. Before I wrap up, there's one thing I want to add, because it might be the most important thing I took from the whole year. Somewhere along the way, without planning it, my first year as a dad turned into a year of series, not individual games, worlds I went back to again and again until I had everything. It started with Trine back in 2025. That was a little bit before my daughter was born, and that was a beautiful, calming puzzle platformer that felt like exactly the right game for me where it was. I replayed it many years before, but I never actually completed it, and now I had the chance, so I'm really happy for that. Then it led me to the rest of the series, and I'm only left now to play the 5th one, which I got as a gift from one of my members in Discord. So thank you so much. You know who you are that sent me that copy. So I appreciate it. I will be playing that game nevertheless. And that feeling of following a world you love from one chapter to the next becomes something I started chasing. As I said, Trine was the beginning, but then came Portal. Then one game turned into 8, the entire Portal universe completed back to back. Portal 1, 2, and the list go on. I don't want to repeat all of them, but there were mods that I was really interested, and I picked the ones that I thought that they will offer me a challenge and there will be something different. And honestly, some of them really surprised me. I didn't plan all of this. It just happened because the world kept pulling me forward. Then the Red Dead. I won't go into deep into here because that deserved its own video, but I played all the Red Dead games back to back, the whole series, start to finish. And completing that run, especially Red Dead Redemption 2, at 100% is one of the most satisfying and probably the most grateful things I've done in gaming moments, because honestly, it made it to my Game of the Year. And when I talk about Game of the Year, I'm not talking about games that released this year. I'm talking about games that I played this year. So 3 series, each one unplanned, each one a direct result of letting the gaming go where it wanted to go instead of forcing it back to a list. That's what my first year as a dad taught me about gaming. Not that the plan was wrong, but when you find a world that fits the life you're living, stay in it, follow it, see it through. Now I want to hear from you. Are you someone who plans your gaming deliberately, or do you follow the momentum wherever it leads? Drop in the comments down below. I read every single one and I will reply to every single one, so don't think I will skip you. So if you enjoy my content and want to support me, you can do that by liking it and subscribing to the channel and turning on the bell notification. I post a lot of content that is based on backlog management, so if you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe and check out more of my content. If you're not fully convinced that I deserve a subscription, feel free to check more of my content and let me know afterwards. My name is Vasharal, and as always, stay safe, take care, and happy gaming.
Starts the hunter and the dreamer say together.